The cafe was half empty that morning, soft rain against the windows, the kind that sounds like background music. I came here most days after my shift, partly because of the quiet, partly because of her. She worked behind the counter. Not the usual type that laughed too loud or tried too hard. She had this stillness about her, like everything she did was half a second slower than the world, but deliberate. When she smiled, it wasn't at anyone. It was at something she was thinking of. I ordered the same thing every time, black coffee, 2 sugars. She never wrote it down. She just looked up, met my eyes briefly, then turned away with that faint nod. Same as usual, she asked. Yeah. That was it. Every day. The same 2 words. But I'd wait for them, like they meant something. Sometimes, when she reached for the cup, her fingers brushed the counter near mine, not touching, but close enough that I noticed the tremor in her hand. She wore a simple silver ring. I caught myself staring once, wondering who gave it to her, and then felt stupid for caring. I'd sit in the corner near the window, pretending to scroll my phone, but mostly just, watching her. The way she tucked her hair behind her ear when she thought no one was looking. The way her shoulders softened after the morning rush. Once, she caught me looking. She didn't look away immediately, just held the moment, long enough for me to feel exposed. Then she smiled, small and knowing, before turning back to the espresso machine. After that, I started timing my visits when it wasn't too crowded. I told myself it was about avoiding noise, but really, I wanted the silence between us, the kind that starts to mean something after a while. That day, though, something was off. She seemed distracted. Her phone was face down near the register, screen lighting up every few minutes. She'd glance at it, then at me, then back down. When I went to pay, she handed me the cup with her usual calm, but her hand lingered for a fraction of a second. "You okay?" I asked quietly. She nodded, though her eyes said otherwise. "Just a long morning." I hesitated. "If it helps, your coffee's still better than my sleep schedule." That earned a soft laugh, the kind that escaped before she could stop it. That's not saying much. Her phone buzzed again. She looked at it, then looked at me, almost uncertain. I didn't say anything. Just stood there, waiting for something I couldn't name. When I reached for the cup, the phone vibrated again, louder this time. She must have thought I'd left, because she turned away and answered without checking. "Hi," she said softly. "I can't talk long. He's here." And for a moment, I thought she meant me. But then she froze, eyes darting toward me like she'd just realized what she'd said, and to whom. I picked up my coffee, trying not to show anything on my face. "See you tomorrow?" I asked, voice too casual. She nodded, barely. "Yeah. Tomorrow." But her voice cracked on the last word. Outside, the rain had stopped, but I stood there under the awning, staring at my phone, thumb hovering over her contact I never saved, just the cafe number. Then it buzzed. "Unknown caller." I answered. And her voice came through, soft, startled. "Wait. You weren't supposed to pick up." The next morning, I didn't plan on going back. I told myself it would be awkward, that whatever happened yesterday was a mistake, just crossed signals. But habits are stubborn things. By 11, I was already walking toward the cafe, hands deep in my jacket pockets, pretending it was just for the coffee. She saw me before I reached the counter. Her face went still for a heartbeat, then softened into something between apology and relief. "You came," she said quietly. "I said I'd see you tomorrow." Her lips twitched at that. "I wasn't sure you meant it." I didn't answer. I just watched her pour my coffee, slower than usual, both of us pretending it was another normal day. But it wasn't. Not anymore. When she handed me the cup, our fingers touched this time. Not accidental. Not quite deliberate. Just enough to feel like a question. I sat in the corner again, pretending to read something on my phone. She was wiping down tables, glancing my way now and then. Eventually, she walked over and set a napkin in front of me. "You always sit here," she said. "Don't you get bored of the same view?" "Maybe I like it," I replied. "It changes depending on how the light hits." She looked out the window with me. Rain streaks had dried, leaving faint trails on the glass. "You sound older than you are," she said. "And you sound like you don't believe that's a compliment." That made her laugh, softly. Then the silence stretched, comfortable, somehow. After a while, she sat across from me, like it wasn't a big deal. Like customers and baristas always did that. "I used to paint," she said, almost to herself. "Before I got married. Before the cafe." Her hand traced a circle on the table with her fingertip. "I stopped one day and never started again. Isn't it strange? How you can lose something without meaning to." I didn't know what to say. So I said the first honest thing that came to mind. "You don't look like someone who's lost anything." Her eyes lifted slowly, as if I'd said something dangerous. "You're kind," she said. "But you don't know me. Maybe I'd like to." Her breath caught, a small, involuntary sound. Then she smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "There's a lot you shouldn't know," she murmured. A customer walked in, saving us both from whatever was about to happen. She stood, straightened her apron, and returned to her quiet rhythm behind the counter. When I got up to leave, she was writing something on a receipt. She folded it once and slipped it under my cup. "Forgot your change," she said, not meeting my gaze. Outside, I unfolded it. Just a small note, written in soft blue ink: "Don't answer calls that aren't meant for you." I stared at it for a long time, rain starting again around me. And still, I smiled, not because I understood, but because for the first time in a long while, someone had spoken to me like they cared what I did next. She started closing the cafe earlier that week. Said the rain was keeping people away. I didn't ask if that was true. I just started coming later. Some nights, it was only us, her cleaning the counter, me sitting in the same corner, pretending to study, scrolling nothing. There was a rhythm to it now. A quiet understanding. But that night, she was distant again. Her hair was tied up, sleeves rolled to her elbows, and she kept glancing at the clock like she was waiting for something. Or someone. "You don't have to stay," she said, without looking at me. "I know." She sighed. "Then why do you?" I wanted to say because you're the only person who looks at me like I matter. But I just shrugged. "The coffee's good." That earned a soft smile, small, tired. "You're a terrible liar." She wiped a glass slowly, eyes unfocused. "You remind me of my son's friend," she said finally. "He used to come here after class. Always quiet, like you. Always watching people more than talking." I froze. There it was, the line between us, drawn so simply. "Was?" I asked. She nodded. "He moved away. Japan, I think. Sometimes I still expect him to walk in." The silence that followed felt heavier than the air itself. She looked at me again, long enough that I had to look away. "You should be out with people your age," she said softly. "Not sitting here with someone who talks too much about the past." "I like the past," I said. "It's honest." Her hand paused mid-wipe. A small breath escaped her. Then she turned away again. Later, when she was locking up, I offered to help. She didn't answer, just handed me the broom. We worked in silence, the sound of sweeping, the faint buzz of the refrigerator, the clock ticking toward midnight. When I leaned down to plug in the vacuum, my hand brushed hers. Neither of us moved. "Sorry," I whispered. She didn't pull away. Just looked up, eyes catching the dim light, soft, searching, uncertain. "You should go," she said, but it came out barely above a whisper. I nodded, but didn't move. "Do you want me to?" That made her look down, fingers tightening around the counter's edge. "I don't know what I want," she said. "That's the problem." Her phone buzzed again on the counter, that same number. The sound broke everything. She turned quickly, face unreadable now. "Please," she said, voice trembling, "just go." I left without another word. But as I reached the door, she called after me, quiet, like she didn't mean to. "Wait." I turned. She hesitated, took one small step closer. Her eyes flicked to my face, then to my lips, just once, before she caught herself. "Next time," she said, voice soft, "don't come so late." The rain returned that Thursday, steady, unhurried, like it had nowhere else to be. She'd closed early again. Lights dimmed, chairs stacked, the smell of coffee still warm in the air. I lingered near the window until she turned off the "open" sign. She looked tired. Not the kind that sleep fixes, the kind that comes from holding too much inside for too long. "You could have gone home hours ago," she said when she saw me. "I like the rain," I answered. "You like excuses." That made me smile, a small, guilty one. "Maybe." She didn't smile back. Just exhaled and sat down at the nearest table, her hands folded loosely in front of her. The silver ring caught the faint light. "Sit," she said. I did. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Just the rain and the hum of the fridge. Then, softly, "My husband called yesterday." I looked up. She wasn't looking at me, just at her hands. "He's been gone almost a year. Said he might come by next week." Something in my chest tightened. "Are you happy about that?" She gave a quiet, humorless laugh. "I don't know if happy fits anymore." Her eyes flicked up, meeting mine for the first time. "You shouldn't be here, you know. None of this makes sense." "I know." "Then why are you?" I didn't answer. I couldn't. I just looked at her, the faint lines near her eyes, the tiredness that somehow made her beautiful. She sighed. "You're too young to be this serious all the time. And you're too careful to ever say what you actually want." That made her still. The air changed, a pulse in the quiet. "Careful," she repeated. "You think this is careful?" Her voice cracked slightly, not loud, but sharp enough to cut through the room. She stood, restless now, moving toward the counter. "You come here, sit in that corner like you're waiting for something. I tell myself it's harmless, that you just need somewhere to be." But then, she stopped, hand tightening on the counter. "Then you look at me like you see something I don't want you to." I stood too, unsure if I should go or say something. "Maybe I just see what you're trying to hide." That made her turn, slow and deliberate. "And what's that?" "That you don't hate being seen." Her breath caught, small, fragile. For a second, I thought she'd cry. Or laugh. Or both. Instead, she just looked at me, like she wanted to memorize the moment and erase it at the same time. I took a step closer. Then another. Close enough to feel the warmth between us, to see the pulse in her throat. "Don't," she whispered. "I'm not doing anything." "You're thinking about it," she said. She was right. For a long time, neither of us moved. The rain softened outside. A car passed, distant. The world held still. Her voice broke the silence, low, trembling. "What are we doing?" I opened my mouth, but no sound came out. Because the truth was, I didn't know. And maybe neither did she. For 3 days, she didn't open the cafe. No explanation. Just the dark windows and a handwritten sign taped to the door, closed due to personal reasons. The first day, I waited across the street under the awning, watching the light stay off. The second day, I walked past without stopping, pretending I wasn't looking for her. By the third, I sat at the bench outside anyway, just in case. That's when I saw him. A man, maybe late 40s, standing near the entrance. He had that kind of posture that says he's used to being waited for. He looked at the door, then at his phone, then at the note. He didn't go in. Just sighed, long and tired, before walking off in the direction of the parking lot. I didn't have to guess who he was. Something in my chest went still. When she finally reopened, she didn't look like herself. Her hair was tied up differently. No ring. No makeup. Just a quiet, deliberate composure that felt practiced. "You're open again," I said, trying to sound casual. "Yeah." Her voice was calm, distant. Needed time to sort a few things out. She didn't ask where I'd been. Didn't smile. I sat at the usual table, but she didn't look over once while making my coffee. No small talk. No quiet glance. When she set the cup down, she kept her hand on the saucer for half a second, not long enough to feel like comfort, just a gesture that used to mean something. "You okay?" I asked. She nodded, eyes on the floor. "Some things just come back when you think they're gone." "Your husband?" She froze. Then looked up slowly. "You shouldn't have to carry that question." "I'm not carrying anything." "You are," she said softly. "You just don't realize it yet." I didn't know what that meant. After that, she started avoiding me. When I came in, she'd send one of the younger girls to take my order. She'd stay in the back, pretending to count receipts or restock sugar packets. The silence between us changed, not the soft, understanding kind, but the heavy kind. The kind that knows something's been broken but can't name what. One evening, I saw her outside after closing. She was sitting alone on the curb, her phone glowing faintly in her hands. I almost went over, but stopped when I saw the photo on her screen. A boy. Maybe 21. Smiling. Her son. And just like that, the pieces fit, the pauses, the hesitations, the way she looked at me like she was seeing someone she shouldn't. I turned away before she noticed me. Walked until the cafe disappeared behind me. That night, I typed a message I never sent. I don't know what any of this was. But it mattered to me. Then I stared at it until the screen dimmed and went dark. I didn't feel heartbroken. I felt paused. Like life forgot to finish the sentence. It was late when I saw her again. The cafe lights were off, but the door was unlocked, a mistake, maybe, or a quiet invitation. I stepped in carefully. The air smelled faintly of rain and espresso. She was sitting at one of the corner tables, still in her apron, hands wrapped around an empty mug. She didn't look surprised to see me. "I thought you weren't coming anymore," she said softly. "I thought you didn't want me to." She smiled, just barely. "I didn't. But you came anyway." I shrugged, unsure what else to say. There was too much distance between us, not in space, but in everything that had happened since. I took the seat across from her. "I saw the picture," I said quietly. "Your son." Her eyes didn't move. "He used to come here after school. Sit right there where you are. Sometimes he'd wait for me to close, and we'd walk home together." Her voice cracked a little, but she kept talking. "He called last week. Said he might visit soon. He doesn't know I've been different lately. Because of me?" She looked up then, straight at me. "Because of how I let myself forget who I'm supposed to be." The words landed heavy, but not cruel. Just true. I nodded slowly. "And who's that?" She smiled faintly. "Someone who doesn't sit in empty cafes with boys half her age, pretending it means nothing." The silence after that felt like it could break something. I wasn't pretending, I said finally. I know. Then why push me away? She didn't answer right away. Just traced her finger along the rim of the mug, thoughtful. Because it's easy to care about someone when you don't have to live with the consequences, she said. You'll move on. I'll go back to routine. And this, she gestured around the empty cafe, will feel like a dream we both made up. I don't want it to be just that. I know, she whispered again. Her eyes softened then, tired, raw, but honest. You've been kind to me. Too kind. And I started looking forward to that more than I should have. She reached across the table. Her fingers brushed mine, just a touch, light and trembling. I'm sorry, she said. For what? For letting you see me. There was nothing else to say. The rain started again outside, soft against the windows. I stood. She didn't stop me this time. Just watched, her expression unreadable. At the door, I turned. Do you want me to go? Her eyes held mine. For a second, she looked like she was about to cry, then she exhaled slowly and said, no. Just, not tonight. I walked back to her. Sat beside her. Neither of us spoke. We just sat there, her hand resting near mine, not quite touching, the quiet humming between us like the last thing still holding. It's been months since that night. The cafe looks different now, new paint, new chairs, even a different clock on the wall. But at 8:47 every morning, it still smells like the same first cup of black coffee. The same soft music hums through the air. She still works behind the counter. Still moves with that slow, deliberate rhythm that made me notice her in the first place. Only now, she doesn't look surprised when I walk in. Same as usual, she asks. Yeah, I say, and we both smile. The difference is in the pauses, softer now, lighter. We don't fill the silence with what we can't say anymore. We just let it exist. Like it's part of us. Sometimes I help her close up. She doesn't ask, I just stay. She counts receipts, I wipe tables. There's no tension now, just quiet familiarity, the kind that feels earned. One night, she brought tea instead of coffee. Said she was trying to drink less caffeine. Getting old, she joked. You were always older, I teased back. She smiled. And you're still terrible at pretending you don't like that. That made us both laugh, the kind of laugh that comes from something shared, something remembered. Her son visited once. Came by the cafe in the afternoon, polite and curious. We talked briefly, about weather, travel, nothing personal. He called her mom and it caught in my chest for a second, how ordinary it sounded. When he left, she stood by the window, watching him cross the street. I joined her, not saying anything. She didn't move for a while. Then she said, you remind me of the quiet he used to have before life got loud. I didn't know what to do with that. So I just reached for her hand, not to hold it, just to let it know it was there. She didn't pull away. We don't talk about what we are. There's no need to define it. Some evenings, she closes early, and we sit on the same bench outside, sharing a thermos of lukewarm tea. The world moves around us, cars, strangers, rain starting again. But the space between us feels steady, like it finally found its balance. Once, I asked if she ever thought about that first phone call. She looked at me, eyes warm, thoughtful. I think about it, she said, but not the way you do. How do you think about it? She smiled, small, quiet, honest. As the moment life decided to start making sense again. Now, every morning, when I see her turn the sign to open, I feel something I can't quite name, not longing, not love exactly, just peace. The kind that comes from being seen, and still being allowed to stay. Did this story stay with you? What kind of quiet, real love stories do you want to hear next?